Good morning, Boston. As a matter of fact, good morning, sports fans. We have a great show for you today. Kasey Hudson, joined by my great friend, Lucy Burdge, and I'm so excited to have her along all of the hot topics that we will hit for Boston sports. But first, you guys know the deal. Boston is Under the Chat is interactive. You can chat with us over at #NessinChat, or you can call in, like Jimmy from the Cow likes to call in quite often, 617-790-0928 to jump into the conversation. Boston is Under the Chat is hanging with you Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. right here on Nessin, and then join us over at Nessin Nation, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Coming up, we talk about the Red Sox fall to the Mets last night 5-1, but there's still a series W in the mix there. Get into the first base conversation just a smidge. The tush push will keep calm and carry on. We do have to update you all on, well, the layers of the Jordon Hudson and Bill Belichick relationship conversation. We don't know what to call it anymore, but we're still going to keep you privy on all of the dirty details. But as I mentioned, I'm joined by my good friend Lucy, and we get the party started with trending. But Luce, how's it going?
Great. I'm really excited to talk about all of that, especially the discussion surrounding Jordon Hudson and Bill Belichick is what you could call it, the chaos surrounding it, because that's what they are. So I'm really excited to, of course, be here with you and to discuss all of that.
The chaos, the fear, we have a number of things that are playing into all of it. But let's get the party started with some Red Sox conversation. As I mentioned, fall short to the Mets in the last game of the series, 5-1. But you know what was a positive light in this? It was Crochet, kind of having Juan Soto's number over and over and over again. You'll see bits of Crochet just kind of having that success consistently, but it wasn't able to carry over. There are some question marks as to how many innings that he was a part of and if that should have kind of lasted out a bit more. And then there was a hot batter in the mix, and that's going to be Nick Sogard, probably with the better bat of the night. There was some hopeful opportunity in the bottom of the fifth once they tied things up, but then the game just kind of got away from them after that. But what'd you make of the Red Sox matchup?
Yeah, I mean, Crochet maybe didn't seem so thrilled that he came out so early, but Cora mentioned that he is just managing his workload. He said it's for the benefit of the player. We're here for the long run. We need that guy to make his starts. For us to go where we feel we can go, we need him. It is May.
You're right.
It is, the weather doesn't feel like it, but it is the end of May. So I think it's a long season and it's early in the season. So I think that's what he's thinking of, is the long term. So we still have a long way to go. So I think it was the right move in the end.
I agree. I feel like it's hard to really grasp. It's 1/3 way through the season. And look, I'm ever the optimist sometimes, and I like to look for the bright spots. So again, Crochet having Soto's number, bright spot. Sogard having one of the hotter bats, bright spot. Another bright spot is going to be Jose Flores chatting up with Christian Campbell, getting him warmed up and working out at that first base. And we've heard that this is going to be in the mix. We actually had him mic'd up and listening to his conversation between Flores and Christian Campbell.
Yeah, so I think that Christian Campbell could be the move at first,
right,
going forward.
And I know that gives people some hope that we're maybe going to see a call up soon. I think we have a soundbite of Jose Flores giving those instructions to Christian Campbell.
So on that one right there, Kasey, if you are high, it's a little bit tougher to catch. That's why I ask you when you approach the bag to have your upper body just be in an athletic position, because if you're too tall, you have to travel long and that ball's staying up in the air and it's hard to catch. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So if you're here, you'll be able to time it better and see if you can actually catch it up in the air or wait until it gives you a shorter hop for you to be able to catch it. So you decide what you want to do, but you'll be in a better position to do that.
Right, okay.
Yeah, right there. There you go.
All right, so I know we're all chit-chatting about, the rookie maybe being in a little bit of a slump, trying to find that consistency yet again, but he's still sitting at the top of the conversation of many rookies. So I love seeing that again, just kind of getting that bright spot involved in everything else. We'll have more Red Sox stuff for you all, Boston, when we have Alana Rizzo join the conversation later on. Now, for the next trending topic, are you a fan of tush pushes by any chance?
Of course, yeah, obviously.
The tush push ban falls short of the 24 votes needed, securing only 22. And let's just say that your boys in blue, the Patriots, were one of the teams that were very much a keep calm and push on kind of team. What I also love, though, Luce, is that you have the Eagles and the Bucks and a number of other NFL teams just really making a statement by putting together mashup videos of the tush push, of them doing it so successfully over and over and over again. Jalen Hurts anytime TD because of this tush-push action. But it's a success for the teams that can successfully do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the Patriots were for this. They were like, no, for not having the ban. Vrabel said this. You can't just ban something because it's tough to overcome for other teams to do it. So he said that there's a lot of plays that you have to defend, whether it's the quarterback sneaks, red zone. There's a lot of plays that are hard to defend, but you can't get rid of them every time you have a tough time stopping it. And that's also the way the Patriots have kind of always been, is when another team does something, they then take another step further. You can't just say, oh, let's ban it because we can't get over it.
We don't like it.
Right, we don't like it because we can't overcome it. No, they find ways to play chess, not checkers, and overcome other things. And Vrabel chess, I think, was what we will see. And so I think that I like that he and the Patriots were for keeping the tush push.
Oh my gosh, I'm so here for Vrabel chess. I just think it's so poetic too that it's Vrabel. You know, we're starting a new era here in New England, and it's him that's basically saying, like, figure it out or just, you know, deal with it kind of thing. And Keegan Stiefel joined me on Foxborough Rush yesterday and was just basically like, just because you can't manage it, like, figure it out. Do your squats. Do something that's going to make you better in this position.
About it.
Exactly. So I think the tush push will be here to stay, and it deserves to do so just as well. So this was a selly for a number of the teams that have actually been a big fan of this, and it only goes to a number of conversations and approvals that took place around the NFL. But you think we're going to see some tush pushes out of Drake May?
Oh, well, you know, this could be. Maybe that's why Vrabel was like, oh, let's keep it so that maybe we can adopt it in some way. Maybe not exactly, but maybe some kind of form of it that we will see from the Patriots.
Yeah, I had to ask Keegan about that. I was like, I don't know how many tush pushes I've seen in New England. Obviously, Tom Brady is not really going to be that guy, but he was like, I think it's coming, and I agree. I think it could come along. Now, for the next trending topic, unfortunately, Colts owner Jim Irsay passes away in his sleep at the age of 65. Took over the role as a sole owner of the Colts at age 37. Like, what a task at age 37. But you know, something that is also iconic underneath, you know, the reign of Irsay is the rivalry that many of us got to witness and enjoy and maybe be sad about at times between Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Do you have any memories from that rivalry?
I mean, yeah, well, as a Patriots fan, but you know what's most iconic to me about Jim Irsay were his tweets. Have you seen some of these tweets? About one of them, he said he had a crush on Sarah Palin's feet. And I think that's iconic. The man is iconic. So, yes, will be missed, certainly. But, yes.
He'll be missing things as things miss him.
Yes,
that's for sure.
The guy was a legend. So, it's really, I mean, there were stories about him handing out hundreds to fans, like $100 bills to fans and stuff.
My goodness.
And just being like a total wild card. So, yeah, without him, the landscape of, you know, Patriots fandom would be different.
Obviously.
Yes. So, yeah, sad and shocking, I would say, to see. It's only 65. Very sad to see that happened.
Yeah, and at least it was peacefully in his sleep. And kind of sticking with that rivalry, one that was birthed in 2001 and lasted all the way through 2015. Yes. I don't even know if I had those kind of rivalries in grade school all the way up through high school. It's what that feels like for that term of time.
Two quarterbacks on those two teams just like battling it out was unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. So
Brady had his best hair back then, though. Some of the most notable wins that came from this rivalry in 2003, Week 13, Patriots 38-34 over the Colts. That's going to sting because that's pretty close.
Yep.
Then you've got the 2003 AFC Championship, Patriots 24, Colts 14. I love how that last number was always there, but that one was not as close. 2004, Week 1, Patriots 27 to Colts 24, excuse me. And then you've got the AFC divisional game, Patriots 20, Colts 3. This was a complete domination, and this was a game where the running back was really just kind of like the nightmare for the Colts. And I love that because we're going into a Mike Vrabel era and a Josh McDaniels era, or re-entry, where everyone's like, we should be seeing a more elaborate run game come back to life here. And another guest that we'll have on to kind of break that down is going to be Chris Hogan later. But do you believe in the revival of the running back here?
Oh, totally. And I think with Josh McDaniels coming back and being here, and also Vrabel being, it's a very like resurgence and rebirth, I think, in that. So I definitely do, yes.
Okay, so then my next question is that are we looking at a new dynasty era around Mike Vrabel? That's a big tall task here in New England. But a
definitely
lot of the
is.
vibes, and you and I have a mutual friend in Alex who's like, the energy around the building
Yep.
is different. Everything, all signs are pointing go, and that go is feeling like a new dynasty.
It does feel like a brand new day and
Yeah.
potentially a new dynasty to begin. You have Will Campbell, who literally said he's willing to die for his quarterback. You have Drake May, who has a great attitude, and Vrabel, who seems like he knows what he's doing. So it is very exciting to think that maybe we are on the precipice of a brand new dynasty here, Kasey. This could be really exciting.
I would hope so. Maybe I'm being selfish, though, being the new gal in Boston
You're bringing us
town.
good luck.
Exactly. Make sure you stick with us here on Boston Has Entered the Chat, because we still have plenty to get into. We got to get Lucy's opinion on what the Celtics should do. Do we blow it up, or do we have enough pieces to just continue curtailing around it? And then we also have Alana Rizzo joining us, Chris Hogan joining us. So we've got Red Sox conversation, Patriots conversation, and you can stay privy to all of this here on Boston Has Entered the Chat every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. here on Nesson, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Nesson Nation. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back with all of the goods on the other side of this quick break. Welcome back into Boston Has Entered the Chat here on Nesson. Kasey Hudson hanging out with Lucy Burdge. And as I promised or teased before we got to our quick break, we got to get back to some Celtics conversation. Why? Because there's a lot of unknowns heading into this offseason. An offseason that, Boston, we didn't want this early. And don't worry, I do feel your pain. But here's the thing. There may be some big units on this team that are going to get shopped around. We do know that new ownership has been sitting front row in some of the postseason games. So there's so many different things to highlight that this team could potentially take a dynamite, light the fuse, and blow it up. What are your thoughts after that disappointing offseason, or not even offseason, postseason, excuse me, now leading to the potential blow up of this roster?
Yeah, like you said, did not expect the offseason this early for the Celtics. It
Right.
was very shocking, and still is a little bit shocking to think, oh yeah, the Celtics aren't in this. Next season could be, and probably will be, a complete wash.
Especially
It
after
will be
everyone's
really-
like, they're going back to back. The back-to-back pressure was just like riding so high.
Yeah, I was on back-to-back. That's all I've been talking about. Of course, I went to the Celtics parade last year, and not even went to, I was like in it. I like walked home following the parade, and I thought, I want that again. It ended up being one of the best days of my life, Kasey.
I remember your
Oh
footage
my
from that.
God,
Yeah.
it was so much fun. So I want that again. It becomes like you're addicted to it. You're like, I want more winning. Of course, here, very used to that. So now thinking about it is weird. And looking at the landscape of the playoffs right now, very weird. So next season, going to be very weird. And no matter what the Celtics end up doing, it's going to be a very different team.
Yeah.
It's not, in an instant, as soon as Jason Tatum went down, thought, that's it. It's
Right.
over. It's over. So it's Jover. So we are. It is. Yeah, it's going to be a very different team, and potentially could blow this up. Derek White is a very intriguing person
Name
in the
mix.
market today. So he might not be around. It's going to be a very different team next season.
Yeah, another guy that I think you should look at for the Warriors going forward is Derek White. I think that's something the Warriors are looking at right now. That's a tweet up from NBA Central, or at the Dunk Central. And we kind of talked about it a number of times here on Boston's Under the Chat. Travis is one of our big hoopers, and then George really good with the takes on it as well. But a big mention of everything is like, okay, when the step up had to happen, Derek White tended to be that guy. He's also somebody who's been a key player, beloved member of the Celtics by Boston. And are you willing to part ways with a guy like that to get another key piece in? And my take on it is, well, if it wasn't Jason Tatum going off, yes, Jaylen Brown is that next guy, or, in tandem. He's that other big face piece and name, but sometimes there was just a little bit too much of a drop off in the margin when it came to the next man up, and Derek White fits that conversation. But with Tatum going down with injury, I'm thinking you need another Tatum-esque to continue to be rhythmic and bring the best out of Jaylen Brown. And that's nothing against Jaylen Brown, but it just feels like there's going to be a deficiency that can't be filled unless you move some pieces.
Totally. And that's when this does become a business, is that there are familiar faces in a team that did win the championship, but you have to figure out what you're going to do moving forward, and that's going to mean moving guys like Derek White. Though, we might see next season, if they keep Jaylen Brown and he is not part of any moves they make this offseason, we do see a team where Jaylen is the 1A star.
True.
Where we don't have to see him on a different team doing that, where they don't break up the two. We just see what the team looks like when Jaylen Brown is the main star, which will be an interesting thing to see, unfortunately, because it would be preferable to have Jason Tatum there as well. But that's why I think it will be more of a rebuilding, not a wash year, because this team and this organization will always be competing. You know, Joe Mazzulla will always be competing.
Right.
But I think it will be one where it's kind of a, like, let's just see what it looks like, where Jaylen Brown is the star, and maybe the aspiration and the expectation is not championship, but it will be one that will be interesting to watch what that looks like.
See, this is why it is so great to have friends of the program stop by, because all of us are over here like, destroy it, blow it up. We don't know what to do without Tatum. And like, of course, the dramatics are going to flare a little bit because, you know, it was unexpected. Nobody wanted this. And we don't know how long the return of Tatum is going to take. Optimistically, you're looking at that 9-month mark. You know, that's with every box checking off upon his return. But the smallest thing can interfere with that. The littlest factor can change the trajectory of that as well. So then I ask, Lucy, my dear friend, do we try to see what the leadership tendency looks like to be that 1A, A1 guy heading into the season, and the team rallies behind you and you have the task every game to just go off and to support this team? Or do we bring in supporting factors?
I mean, I think you might have to bring in supporting factors. And I think financially, there are financial things that the Celtics have to consider here. I think Brad Stevens is very aware of that. I think he's very aware of what this team needs. So I think it's actually great they have a guy like Brad Stevens in the position he is in. But I think you're going to have to do that. And that's why the team is just going to look different, say around, so they keep Jaylen Brown. It's going to look different around him, I think. Porzingis perhaps is gone as well. And so I think the rumors or speculation about Derek White ramping up with the Warriors likely to happen potentially, and it's just going to look like a very different team around Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, and I think Derek White entered the chat a little bit harder because of the fact that there's so many question marks around Porzingis, because he has this mystery illness that creeps in, and it's a very dangerous thing when you have a player and your biggest thought is like they're breathing, you know,
and just in the middle of a game.
Exactly.
It just happens, which is very scary.
And anything that's messing with respiratory, you don't know what the linger is on that, and it's too many question marks in terms to say, like, do we keep investing in this? There's, you know, other guys that show that they can step up and help out in that particular position. Maybe give them the additional reps so that they can be a bigger pillar for this team moving forward. So I like the idea of building around Brown. I don't think that it needs to be as significant as like moving a piece like him and then bringing in other all-stars and then hoping everything's going to click and take off right away. Because we're seeing the NBA love this, you know, all-star roster situation, and it's not panning out all the time.
True, exactly. So I think the expectations for the Celtics next season will be much, much different than what we thought in the seconds before Jason Tatum went down. Everything changed in that moment, and in that moment, even though they won the next game, and it's like, but then what? Then what? You can't. You're not going to win the finals now. So they're still a very talented team, but you have to kind of rebuild around them, I think, and maybe a balance of burning it down and keeping some pieces to keep some familiar faces that can carry them when Jason Tatum returns. But I think the focus will be on preparing for Jason Tatum to return.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost looking ahead and planning for the next step all in one, which is a tall task. But I bid Boston with this question mark. How long do you think it'll take for Jason Tatum to realistically get back into the mix? Are there any pieces out there that make sense to join in on this roster? And look, I don't want to make it sound like I don't trust this roster, I don't believe in this roster, I don't believe in Jaylen Brown. I absolutely do. I mean, that respond game after Jason Tatum went down, that's so significant in so many ways, and health is always going to be a big factor in terms of how talented this roster actually is, how viable the depth actually is. So again, dramatics tend to flare in the middle of chaos, but I still have high hopes for what this team can do. And you said it, Brad Stevens is pretty brilliant when it comes to that. So you trust that the right moves can be made, right?
I definitely do. And immediately after that, Jaylen Brown said, we have the talent in this locker room to win the next game and then go forward, you know, potentially. But I think that really is the potential next year for, I don't know if they'll make the playoffs or what, but there will be a team to watch. But realistically, I think he's out the entire next season, which
Right.
is really sad. Like, that's kind of depressing to think like, oh yeah, not just the rest of the playoffs and this offseason, but all of next NBA season, Jason
No
Tatum will be out as well.
JT.
So it will be, I think, a lot of anticipation. All next season will be like, let's plan the return
Right.
of Jason Tatum.
You know what, though? I hope that they keep hanging up his jersey because I love the motivation on that. But don't go anywhere. We've got some great Red Sox talk and then coming at you. And then, of course, Chris Hogan joins the program later on. But first, make sure you join us here on NESN as well as NESN Nation from 9 to 10 a.m. We've got Jimmy Fun, so save the date. The WEEI and NESN Jimmy Fun Radio Telethon presented by Arabella Insurance is on August 18th and 19th. Circle those dates. Help strike out cancer by visiting jimmyfun.gives/K-Cancer to donate today. You are watching Boston has entered the chat here on NESN. Kasey and Lucy running you through all the top headlines, but more importantly, it's time for us to focus in, dial in on some Red Sox conversation. But the good news here is to make sure that you guys are reminded unobstructed views. One of the most amazing aspects to watch the Red Sox game. You've got one of the queens of the diamond, Alana Rizzo, who's now joined the NESN family to run unobstructed views. And I love this because you have the conversational aspect, you have Papelbon, you've got all of these figures that get great conversation, great perspective going when it comes to the Red Sox. And Lucy and I already said it, it's a very long season. So you need those bright spots, but you also need that realistic talk in between. And we got a combination of this. So Red Sox were able to pull off a series W, but they didn't get the win last night. They fall short 5-1. Something that has been quite consistent for this Red Sox roster, though, is the ace in Garrett Crochet. So what did we see out of him besides the fact that he just had Juan Soto's number? Juan Soto came to Boston and did not have a good time.
Yes, he did not have a good time. And questions about that, his questions about Juan Soto were popping up in New York as he came here to play.
New York is like
great.
ruining, well, not ruining him, but they're not very happy with him.
It's like housewives. It's like Real Housewives there right now. So it was fascinating to watch this play out as they travel to Boston.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, good. Boston media can get a hold of this and maybe get some clues. Because they were looking at clues of like, oh, is Juan Soto pouting? Is he hustling out of the box? Is he doing this or that? So what he did up against Garrett Crochet maybe indicates maybe he's not happy. Maybe Garrett Crochet has like opened the box of like, oh, Juan Soto's not happy. So thank you to Garrett Crochet for that, I guess. But yeah, what I see out of him is consistency, but also hope, I guess. Maybe he could win the Cy Young, perhaps. But that would be great, wouldn't it? So yeah, seeing that he is a mainstay of this roster for the team, but determination because he did want to stay in the game.
Yes.
But I think he understands and felt kind of bad that I think he said used a curse word about not wanting to leave the game. That his workload does need to be managed because it is a long season, as we were saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from a fan perspective, for a second, I've heard a couple of times like fans would like to see more than maybe just a sneaky 5 innings out of Crochet.
Sure.
And there's been signs that have indicated that like this is a guy that we can see at least through a totality of 6 innings, and then like on those really grand nights, that really grand stage, maybe even touch the top of a 7th inning. What do you think makes sense here?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I trust Alex Cora. I am on the side of don't fire Alex Cora. There are people that want to for whatever reason because he took a day off. This is ridiculous. So, and then actually 2 days off because then he did get ejected. So that was, I mean, shut up. Come on, that's stupid. So I appreciate that there is some passion for this, but I think also questions about like, oh, the bullpen is being taxed a lot because of these 2 nights, but it's still early in the season. It's going to be okay. But no, I think that Garrett Crochet is the guy in this rotation who you see that he is pitching and you're like, great. I'm going to go to the ballpark and watch Garrett Crochet. So there's an element of that as well. So yeah, you hope he pitches deep into a game. But, I trust Alex Cora.
Right. And you know what? So does the rest of the team in the bullpen. And we saw the bullpen pull through on some key moments throughout that Mets series. So again, 1/3 way through the season, Still a lot of things to iron out. And then one of the things that have been another large topic of conversation outside of the bullpen and the bullpen sign is that first base. We've heard, it's been confirmed that Christian Campbell is working out at first base. We even got a chance to listen to Jose Flores give his insight and break things down. And what I loved about that shot and hearing the breakdown that Flores was giving to Campbell, and we showed it earlier during trending, is how coachable Christian Campbell is. And of course it makes sense. I mean, everything you've heard about this kid throughout his collegiate career, how he was able to just kind of clean things up during training camp or spring training, and then have the start that he did as a rookie, it makes you feel a little bit better to think, okay, like, he's very coachable. You see how well he's receptive to things, and it's not an easy thing to transition to, but it also has us questioning, okay, could there be a potential call up in the mix? So from what you've seen from Campbell so far, like, does this feel like something that's like, all right, let's try this out, even though there's some other guys that maybe started panning out a little bit more?
Yeah, it definitely feels like they are serious about trying him out at first. He does seem, and I think he is, very malleable. He's very young. He wants to learn. He did not know at first that they even didn't have roommates. Like, he is like he's like, I want to learn everything. And that's what it seems like he is doing in that moment where he was being coached. And it does feel like they are really doing everything they can to see if he can be there every day first baseman. And I think that he is, he's willing to do anything for the team.
Yes.
Which, is good. That's always good to be able to learn a new position, switch a position to see if maybe that would be the best fit for the team. So kudos to him.
Yeah.
For being willing to do that, of course, as, any player probably would be. But good for Christian Campbell. I think that he's learning.
He's learning. He is. And you can see the clear determination on him, that's for sure. And I think he's going to stay on top of one of the best rookies in the MLB conversation as the season continues to go along. I think that we're going to continue to see him kind of work out of this slump. He's got leaders on that team that have spoke to him about, getting over that mental task. And that's a lot of what most pro athletes have to realize, like, kind of you're the one in your own way kind of thing, and kind of shifting your mentality. Have you had a chance to be on Team Sogard by any means? You and I were at Fenway on Friday when the Green Monster jerseys were revealed. We were. Loving all of that.
Oh my God, obsessed.
Yeah, and there were some really good rally moments by Sogard, and then obviously, there's some counteractive moments, but he had probably one of the better bats of the night, in my personal opinion, when it came to the 5-1 loss to the Mets. But what have you seen out of Sogard?
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, there's a lot of promise there. The guy, every time I look up, the guy's on base, so it's good. It's good for him. We were there for that amazing jersey reveal. Obsessed with the color, the details, everything. Jersey A+.
I wanted to wear it if it wasn't winter in Boston again.
Exactly. So. If it wasn't a nor'easter downpouring right now, it would be really great. But a lot of promise for him. He's definitely a bright spot for them right now.
Yeah, and I think it kind of gives them, the time to continue to work through things with Campbell. B, kind of take a bird's eye view of their options, because I know that there was a lot of conversation in terms of like hitting the market and just bringing in something that's more of like a stout option. So I feel like as he continues to find confidence in that space, then we can see things pieced together at the right time. Now, something else that's a big topic of conversation. We got the O's, and while they may have finally found a win, they haven't really had the promising season, or at least a promising start that a lot of analysts kind of had them getting a stretch out to. And I mean, this should be a spot where you want to see the Red Sox correct some of the mistakes that have taken place and hindered them over capable wins. And because that's what the fan base really needs right now. They need to see consistent wins out of the Red Sox and not these, minute losses that slip out of their hands. So do you think that they can finally prevail and make the statement win, carry the statements into this series?
Yes. So heading into this season, the division, how it pans out, I had Red Sox, Yankees, Orioles. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. The Orioles are 16-32. This is bad, Kasey. That's not good. So, after coming off of a loss to the Mets and the Orioles coming off of a win, do the Orioles have some momentum? Can they string together some wins? I don't think so. I think this is a really, really good spot for the Red Sox to pick up a few wins.
Okay.
And maybe sweep. If they don't sweep the Orioles, I don't know. I mean, they have to, right? They have to. So I would be very disappointed if they did not, because this is a really good time to just, I know we say it's early in the season, but it's never a bad time to pick up a bunch of wins in a row.
Right.
So I think it's really important for them to take advantage of this opportunity right now, especially a division rival, to pick up a bunch of wins right now against the Orioles.
Never too early to make a statement. Now, I hear you got some trends for us to let fans and everyone else know that the possibility is so there for the Red Sox to be able to collect that statement win and just find more of a rhythm, which we all need to see.
Exactly. So if you are betting on this, the Orioles are underdogs in the first game of this series, at least, and possibly throughout the series. But the Orioles have come away with a win one time in 9 chances when an underdog of at least plus 106 or worse on the money line. The Red Sox have a 1-3 record over the 4 games they were favored on the money line in their last 10 matchups. The Red Sox have gone 5-5 against the spread in their past 10 games, and they have a record of 11-10 in games when favored by at least minus 125 on the money line. So as you are betting on this game, perhaps some things to keep in mind when you are taking a side. And there's, I think, some value on each side of the money line in this from what I've seen, because there's no actually massive favorite yet.
Wow.
So the Red Sox aren't even the massive favorites from what I've seen so far. So it's just something to keep in mind.
If it was like a week ago, I feel like the numbers would have come in so differently.
Yes.
But again, consistency is key in all of this. Now, of course, money lines don't matter, wins, the losses, none of it matters unless, you know, you've got players that show up. Do you have a player in mind that you think could be like that key guy in the matchup?
Yes, well, there are 2 guys, especially in the first game of this, if it's, you know, played, if it doesn't, if it's a complete washout. Trevor Story and Willie Abreu both have done very well against Zach Eflin. So Story is batting .462 against him. Willie Abreu batting .385 against him. Each of them have a home run off of him. So 2 guys to, especially Willie Abreu, to watch out for in this series.
Yeah, and I would say, like, there's been a number of times where Willie Abreu has been not only that clutch guy, but he has pulled through for this team, and not just in those top couple of innings, but it's just rallying behind whatever he successfully does in the lineup. So I actually really love the Abreu piece of all of this. And then, of course, just making sure that your key figureheads can also get the job done and add to the mix. Devers being that guy. I know I give him heat, and this is just from a ridiculous, humorous standpoint. His batting stance stresses me out, but it just speaks to the power that he has the capability of having. So, like, this is where you're hoping that we're going to see 440 plus load up at Fenway, and then hopefully some guys can copy and paste what Devs does so well and carry it all the way through. So we'll probably get more information on that lineup. But, guys, as I've mentioned, unobstructed views here on NESN. It's going to walk you through all things for the Red Sox matchup. Of course, potential rain delay, and don't worry about it because the content, the coverage, everything is still going to be there to break down the lineup and keep you privy to all movements taking place when it comes to the Red Sox. So it is interactive, just as Boston has entered the chat is. With unobstructed views, it's hashtag NESNViews. You can deliver questions to Alana Rizzo, the queen of the diamond. You can ask questions to Papelbon. You can ask questions to Jared. So many questions to be asked, many to be answered. So make sure that you mark down hashtag NESNViews. Tune in to Unobstructed Views to catch all the action, and let us know your thoughts on the Red Sox and the matchup that they should be able to have not only a statement win, but a series sweep. We're all hoping for it. Join us on the other side because we've got Chris Hogan joining us to talk about some Patriots and so much more here on Boston Has Entered the Chat. Welcome back into Boston Has Entered the Chat. And as promised, it's time for us to pivot over to some football talk. And we brought in a key guy to break all things down. That would be 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Patriots, Chris Hogan. And look, we're all looking forward to what Josh McDaniels' re-entry to New England is going to do. We got some interesting takes from OTAs and so much more. So, Chris, thank you so much for joining the show. It's probably the perfect day since the weather is crap outside. You get to just chill inside and chat with us for a little bit. How's it going? How's your family?
Everything is great. Thank you for asking.
Of course, of course. When you've got, what do you have, 4 little ones running about?
Yeah.
Yep. You're staying in shape. That's what we can all count on.
Controlled chaos. That's what I like to call it.
That's what we sign up for in sports broadcasting. So we know it well. Of course, we wanted to bring you in and get your insight because there feels like a breath of fresh air in New England when it comes to Mike Vrabel taking the helm, Josh McDaniels reinstalling his system. And a key thing that we hear all around is just the intricacy of Josh McDaniels' system. Hunter Henry said he had to get reacclimatized. You've been a part of it. What are some key things that just kind of make this so challenging for players, but also really challenging for opponents?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost for the players, it's very detail oriented. So OTAs and the time that they're spending right now in the off season is going to be heavily involved with, learning the playbook, learning the personnel, learning the formations. And Josh is a very detailed person, and he likes things done a specific way. And that's how he wants his offense to be run. So for the guys that have been there, the guys that have been around the league, I think that they'll be able to digest and learn this offense pretty quickly. And then for the younger guys, it's just a matter of kind of getting in your playbook and asking the questions, and don't be afraid to ask. And at the end of the day, these guys are all professionals. They got to take the time to learn the stuff that Josh and the offensive coaches are teaching them, and then obviously be able to perform and bring it to the field.
Absolutely. And the expectations, I feel like, are pretty high for this Josh McDaniels, Mike Vrabel, Drake May team. Drake May, the other day at OTAs, threw 4 interceptions. And people here love to overreact. Should people be overreacting about this start to OTA? Is all lost, basically?
You know what? This is why we do what we do, right? At this time of year, we have to overreact to every single little thing that's going on. I mean, I think I saw something yesterday about Travis Hunter. He stumbled on a route, and they were saying that he wasn't the #1 overall pick.
Nope.
It's like
disaster.
I think that's we live for these overreactions right now, and just to kind of overanalyze everything that's going on the field. I saw something also about Will Campbell and someone talking about him sizing up to all these other guys. Like, guys, they haven't even put on football pads yet, let alone this is a brand new offense that Drake is learning. He's going to make mistakes. Listen, I'd rather him make mistakes in week 2 of OTAs than week 1 of the season. So I've seen plenty of guys throw interceptions in OTAs, and this is the time to do it. Make the mistakes, learn from it. The sense of urgency, I think, with this team is definitely high, but it's not something where we're just going to hit the panic button because we made a couple of mistakes in OTAs. So this is the time to make the mistakes, learn from them. We're week whatever of install, right? Josh hasn't even gotten through his entire offense yet. So there's still so much to learn, a lot to do. Drake's getting to know a lot of the younger receivers, the new guys that we brought on. So there's still a lot of timing and relationship stuff that they have to continue to work on, that I know that they are. And come August, hopefully that's, going much better. And, it's still very early. So, I mean, I know the overreactions are going to happen regardless, but I think everyone can relax a little bit here.
Dial it back. Well, hopefully we can help them. Look, as much as we love to criticize and be dramatic, there are some fans out there, thankfully, that are saying exactly what you're saying. Calm down. But look, 2 of those interceptions were supposedly because of the route running of the receivers, a receiving group that's getting situated with each other, that's got high competition coming in now that you've got a veteran like Stephon Diggs. And some credit goes to the defense stepping up. Christian Gonzalez just kind of being a bit of a maniac out there. So with no pads being on, how important is it to be able to feed off of a defense that's now building out a new reputation for themselves?
That's a great point. Let's not forget about the other side of the ball here. These guys are no slacks. I mean, you got some pretty good players on the opposite side of the ball, and I think that's something that New England has always had. They've always had good players and a good defense, and I think that's also why we were so good on offense. I mean, we got to play against these guys every single day, and they definitely didn't take any plays off. So I think that this is going to be a good challenge for this offense. I think that it's going to be a good challenge for Josh and Drake and the younger receivers, that they get the opportunity to go up against Christian and guys like this every single day. And listen, iron sharpens iron, right? You get to want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And right now, you have a really good defense on the opposite side of the ball, and it's only going to make them better. So I love that I know that Rabel's, breathing competition up there, and I know that he's going to love it. He's going to be on his defense and not give these guys, any room at all, regardless of a new coaching staff and new receivers. It's a trial by fire here, and these guys they're gonna benefit from it in the long term.
For sure, and I'm pretty psyched about this secondary. I have to ask, who got under your skin or harnessed your competitive energy in the secondary when you were getting situated here?
It's all of them, but I had Stefan. I played with Stefan in Buffalo, so obviously we had our battles. Malcolm Butler. I went against Logan Ryan, every single day. All of those guys, man, they live to get underneath your skin. And, us as, me, Danny, Jules, any of those guys, I loved practicing against them. It was fun. It was competitive. It made us better. It made me better. Going against, especially early on in my career, going against number 1, number 2 corners in the league, that's shaped me as a football player and helped me prepare for games so that, come game time, come Sundays, the game is a little bit slower. You get to go against Stephon Gilmore, do one-on-ones and routes against him. That guy's, he's one of the best in the league, and he's still doing it. So it's going to help. It's going to help these younger guys on this team, especially in the receiver room, and it's going to help this offense, I think, inevitably.
When it comes to expectations for this team this season, do you think making the playoffs is a realistic expectation, or more, perhaps? But playoffs, you think that happens?
So I have a podcast with Chris Price over at the Boston Globe, and we want to rename our podcast to not the Patriots Report, but Cautious Optimism. We kind of joke around about it, and we've been cautiously optimistic the past couple of years, and it hasn't really panned out for us. But I think, listen, winning football games in the NFL is hard, and regardless of what kind of team you have this year. I love that they brought Josh back. I think that he's going to do a tremendous job with Drake and his development as a quarterback. I think that he's going to help these receivers and the skill guys. I know that the offensive line is going to do really well with Josh and his system, or at least I hope that they do. If they adopt it and they listen to the things and they follow the details that he wants. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we have good players. So do I think that this is a playoff team? Sure. Why not? Why can't they be? I think it really all depends on, how bad do these guys want to win? And I know that they do, because this is their livelihood and they're a professional, but how quickly can they kind of ramp up to the speed of getting to playing at the level that they want to play at? So I think there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but that's why we have OTAs and the off season and training camp. And I think that come August, end of August, early September, you're going to see a different team out there. And it's going to be a lot of guys that are going to have a lot of energy, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, before we let you go, Chris, you've mentioned previously that something that you appreciated about this locker room was the closeness of everything, and that's kind of something that Vrabel stresses: relationship, connection, closeness. Just tell us why that's so key to success, especially for a group getting started and hopefully what's going to be a postseason run and more success to come.
Yeah, listen, you're around these guys, they're your family, right? And they're really what it is. And the closer that you have a locker room, and I always talk about the 3 years that I had in New England, that locker room and those guys that we had were amazing. It's not a offense defense type thing where offense doesn't hang out with the defense or anything like that. We all hung out together. We struggled together. We won together, we lost together, and the teams that I was on, that we went to all those 3 Super Bowls and won 2 of them, those were the best teams that I've ever been on, because every single guy up and down the line, from the roster to everyone in the facility really was just on board with it, and willing to do whatever it took to win football games. And I think that's kind of Vrabel's message here, and what he's done with this roster and the guys that he's brought in and what they've done in free agency. he's brought in good football players, guys that have been in this league. He brought in high caliber guys, kids from the draft, kids that, I mean, you listen to Will Campbell talk after the draft, you want to run through a wall for what he wants to do. He wants to win. He wants to do whatever it takes. And I think that's what makes a good football team, when you can look up and down the line on your roster and know that every single guy is not out there for themselves, but out there for the team and want to do whatever they can do to help win football games. And I think that's what it's going to take. I think it's going to take everyone. And if they're able to do that, I think that you're going to be looking at a good New England Patriots team this year.
Yeah, well, all signs are pointing go for this team to become a family and hopefully bring some more success to New England. Chris, thank you so much for taking the time for joining us here on Boston Today, the chat. Make sure you check out Chris's podcast to get into the nitty-gritty of all things football. And we'll catch you guys on the other side of a quick break coming up here to talk more all things Boston. Good morning, Boston, and welcome in, sports fans, to Boston Has Entered the Chat. Kasey Hudson running alongside Lucy Burdge here to break down some of the hot topics taking place, not only in Boston, but we got to take the bird's eye view. We've got playoffs going on. We had NBA as well as NHL comebacks. We also have the tush-push sticking around the NFL. Red Sox fell to the Mets 5-1 last night, but there were still some hopeful spots within that level of play. Crochet remains an ace. He also happens to have Juan Soto's number, who looked very grim, whatever the word may be, at Fenway, and then to see what the potential may be when it comes to first base. But I already teased it. I get to hang out with a friend today, and Lucy Burdge. Lucy.
Yes.
What did you make of the Red Sox so far? Yeah. We hit these highs, we hit these lows. We get upset about the inconsistency. We get excited about an ace like Crochet. We get some really sweet City Connect jerseys. We've got Duran that has a hot bat, but only showed up for one hit last night. We got Sogard that actually had the better bat of the night, in my personal opinion. So what do we make of this nice little roller coaster we tend to be on?
Yes, so I do look forward to seeing if the Red Sox the rest of the season will surpass being mid, because they are commonly referred to as mid, as their record has been.
Dancing back and forth on that 500.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? That's fine. That's fine. Where they are right now, I think is fine. Do I think they're going to win the World Series? Yes. So relax, everybody, relax, because it's not bad.
They haven't hit detrimental yet.
Correct. But it's not disaster level yet by any means. Like, come on, it's May, so let's just, they're fine. But it is, as a fan, I love this team, and they are frustrating at times because their ceiling is not mid. This is a very, very good team. Yeah. So I do look forward to seeing the rest of the season if they can break out of that mid plateau that they have found so far this season. And there are sparks of that. They go on runs, and then, you have a night like last night, but it's just sometimes unlucky. Yeah. And I think that they can surpass that. Yeah.
And like we said, there's bright spots throughout all of it. Yeah. One of the bright spots being Garrett Crochet being Garrett Crochet, and we'll touch more on that in a moment. But then, you got Sogard, who we've seen some pretty good glimmers from. I mentioned the fact that you and I were at Fenway on Friday when they revealed the new jerseys, and we wanted that swag to carry them to a W. But what we did see is we saw some good hits from Sogard. We saw some moments where he was able to be helpful in getting guys on base, but they just weren't able to close the door and kind of find the rest of the success, especially in those later innings. Then enter last night. He picks up 2 hits. He ends up being that guy that brings hope into the bottom of that 5th inning, and then, of course, the door unable to be shut on the Mets. So when you're talking about a guy that's kind of rotating in on that first base conversation, there's another one that's entered the chat. It's Christian Campbell. We know that he's been taking workouts at first base, and we actually have it right here. Jose Flores kind of giving him some details and some breakdowns on how to better his game when it comes to working out on first base.
So on that one right there, Kasey, if you are high, it's a little bit tougher to catch. That's why I ask you when you approach the bag to have your upper body just be in an athletic position, because if you're too tall, you have to travel long, and that ball's staying up in the air, and it's hard to catch. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So if you're here, you'll be able to time it better and see if you can actually catch it up in the air or wait until it gives you a shorter hop for you to be able to catch it. So you decide what you want to do, but you'll be in a better position to do that.
Right, okay.
Yeah, right there. There you go.
I'm a fan of Kasey, and it's not just because of our names, obviously. I love that he called him that. But I also love how coachable Christian Campbell is and what I think he's going to mean to this team, you know, when he starts to get back into a more confident frame of mind. Because sometimes when things get cold for you, I think it's just more of a lack of confidence and a mental obstacle to have to overcome. But this kind of puts a lot of things into play. If Campbell ends up at first base, there could be a potential call-up. If there's not a potential call-up, what does that rotation look like? So many things that the Red Sox still have to figure out, I think, in order to get to that consistency behind stringing together those wins one after the other. And a way to do that could potentially possibly be against an Oilers team that we didn't expect to be in the dumpster fire category.
Yeah, didn't really expect that. But you look at Christian Campbell soaking that up like a sponge.
Yes.
He is learning this position because he wants to do what's best for the team.
Yep.
And maybe he will be the solution effort. Maybe he's like a first base genius. We don't know. So it will be interesting to see that as well. So now they come off this loss to the Mets, and they took the series, but they did lose that game, facing an Orioles team that has, Kasey, not been good.
Right.
They're really bad. This team is bad. And I know that there are some people I know in Baltimore who are very frustrated with this team, disgusted, you could say, with how this team has performed. They are way below mid. Their wins are half of their losses, pretty much. They're 16-32. That's bad, right? That's not good. So if I was an Orioles fan, I would be very sad, but we're not, so it's okay. So I think coming into this series, facing this team, you have to sweep.
Yeah.
They have to pick up as many wins as possible right now before you go forward on going on the road, which is coming up. So I think this has to be a sweep of the Orioles because the Orioles are really, really bad. So that's what I would expect from the Red Sox in this series.
Well, we've had some Red Sox analysts, and luckily we rotate them in here on Boston Has Entered the Chat. And Travis asked Lenny the other day, he's like, you know, Orioles are bad. Things are in the tank for this team. And is this an opportunity for the Red Sox to make a statement?
Yes.
And this is coming off of that big win after the 2 ejections, the bullpen stepping up, the bullpen sign now being a thing. One of the guys here, Ante, had a video of Wally walking around with his own personal sign. So
I love that.
when you get these moments, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with it. When you get these moments, it's supposed to carry momentum and kind of just like add another layer and element to having a statement win, having a statement response. So you get that response, unfortunately falls short the following night, and then now you have an opportunity to go against a team that they're not going to make it easy because desperate teams are probably some of the hardest teams to go against. But this is where you can see the Red Sox finally work out some kinks, you know, and string together some wins, hopefully. But I want to see that bullpen sign
I was just going to
thrive
say,
and come to life.
Yes, we need to see more of the bullpen sign. The Wally head's great, it's fine. But when things come up, it's fine.
Are you
great.
bullpen sign over Wally head?
I kind of like when these things, I know that was made for this celebration, and that's great.
Right.
And that's great. But I think the bullpen sign coming up organically, the way that it happened, there is something special about that, and the way they were just like naturally, like, oh, let's incorporate this. I do like, too, the 2 together, where you wear the Wally head and it's like the play like a championship, like a champion today, where you hit the bullpen side as you go into the dugout. Like, as I saw somebody say, it's like you're being sworn into baseball court. He had his hand on the bullpen side.
That feels so on brand for Boston.
So great, right?
Yeah.
So moments like that are very special, and I do hope that winning is the top priority.
Right.
But when you have the chemistry to put together moments like that, that's always good too.
Yeah, I think those are the moments that pull you through. So we kind of teased about Crochet and obviously him being an ace for Boston, but what some fans are questioning is if we need to see more of Crochet. There was conversation around him only being in for the 5 innings. Could we stretch that out to 6 or 7? I've asked your opinion on this, but like just to kind of see like where we land, 5, 6, 7 innings.
Yeah, well, like I said, I do trust what Alex Cora does. So I think that he made the right move in managing the workload of Crochet, because it is May. We have a long season ahead of us. Or they do, excuse me. The team, us, the Red Sox have a long season. Well, we do as fans too.
Right.
And it's going to be a long summer. And if they are going to make a playoff push, perhaps run to the postseason, you're going to need Garrett Crochet. So you need him to not be overworked, God forbid injured, which he won't be, but tired. You don't want him to be tired. So managing his workload now, very important, and I think that's what Alex Cora was doing. And I think the questions came up because Crochet was maybe not thrilled to come out at that time. And the bullpen was a little bit taxed considering the past couple nights.
Yeah, some guys going back to back.
Correct. So I think that that's why the question came up, but it's okay. I agreed with what Alex Cora did.
Right, and I think that even though like Crochet was a little emotional towards it, the biggest thing is that we know he's a competitor.
Correct.
We've always talked about how meticulous he is, and like even when he does really good things, he still wants to up the ante, make those corrections right away. So he's somebody who is always going to be working on his craft, and that does work for the Red Sox when we can rally behind an ace like Crochet. So we talked about making a statement. We talked about the potential and the opportunity of a sweep, hopefully, fingers crossed. What are some trends that can maybe help the success of the Red Sox moving forward versus the Orioles?
Yes, if you are thinking of betting on this game, some information for you. The Orioles have come away with a win one time in 9 chances when they have been the underdog of at least plus 106 or worse on the money line. The Red Sox, your Red Sox folks, have a 1-3 record over the 4 games they were favored on the money line in their last 10, and they have gone 5-5 against the spread, or the run line, over their past 10 games, and they have a record of 11-10 in games when favored by at least minus 125 on the money line, Kasey.
Oh, I like these. I like these, which leads us to the guys, the stars, the faces that are going to help us hopefully support some of these lines, numbers, and trends. Who are some of your players of the match?
Yes, well, I feel like Devers, of course, is going to step up because
Yeah.
he is the leader on this team. But 2 other guys, Trevor Story and Wilyer Abreu. Wilyer Abreu, in particular, Wilyer Abreu leads the team in home runs. He's got 11 of them. But he has done, as Trevor Story has, very well against Zach Eflin. Story is batting .462 against him. Wilyer Abreu batting .385 against him. Each of them have a home run. So if you're also targeting home runs, Wilyer Abreu is a guy to look at in this series, I think.
Oh, see, I was
Especially
waiting for you to drop one of the home runners into the mix.
Exactly.
I was like, I heard some trends, but I didn't hear any love for the home runs. Big fan, and actually had a really cool conversation with Adam Pellerin here at Nesson about just kind of how he has so much emotional kind of gas to fuel his game. Sometimes you got to pull on some of those situations. So of course, you know, if you lose a family member, and we've seen athletes do this time and time again, like generate that energy into any sort of matchup they have ahead, or kind of carry it and stretch it throughout a season. And then just his ability to kind of have a guy's number sometimes. So what I loved is that when the season got going, so many fans wrote into Ness and just talked about the fact that like Abreu is a guy that has always showed so much hope to take that next step. And we've seen that kind of carry into this season, that he has the capability to do so. So I like Abreu to get into the mix versus the Orioles. I love the idea of the Red Sox stringing together a sweep, getting past a team that has been tanking. And come on. We got to get some hope going. We got to continue to see some bombers go outside of Fenway. And one of my favorite things that the Red Sox posted was copying and pasting some of those home runs.
Yep.
Is there anyone else that you think can jump onto the home run board?
Yes, well, Devers, I think, will step up and hit at least one home run in this series because he's started to get hot, and so I think he is in a really good spot right now to have, maybe 1 or 2 this year.
Yeah, and considering last night he only had 1 hit after 3 appearances. I feel like he's the kind of guy to where, like, clearly it never sits well with him, but his ability to respond after that fact, that's when we're sitting here tweeting away about these monstrous games that a guy like Devers has a tendency to pick up and have. So the response opportunity is there. That just depends on the weather. But you guys can keep all of the Red Sox fun and action going because we do have unobstructed views on Nesson, Alana Rizzo, Jared, we have Papelbon. We got so many great people to just keep you privy to all things Red Sox, and you can ask them questions, hashtag Nesson Views, as well as asking us questions at hashtag Nesson Chat. Boston is entered the chat every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Nesson, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. here on Nesson Nation, and it's interactive. You guys can actually call in and leave us a voicemail, 617-790-0928. Join the conversation. Join Jimmy in the cab because we always have a hot take from him when it comes to Boston sports. Don't go anywhere. We got a quick break coming up right here. And then on the other side, let's just say that the conversation gets interesting. We talk comebacks, we talk Jordon and Bill, we check on Bill's, safety. So much more on the other side of this quick break. Welcome back into Boston has entered the chat. Kasey and Lucy running you through some top topics, but more importantly, I teased, don't call it a comeback. We have the NHL and the NBA playoffs taking place. You guys know I'm a big hockey gal myself, so I was pretty thrilled to see not only one comeback last night, but two. Pacers had the tendency to dial things up with that timely buzzer beater to push things into overtime and make sure that that game one was their 1-0 series lead. Then pivoting over to the ice, you have the Dallas Stars that hosted the Edmonton Oilers. The Bang Guy was back. If you guys haven't seen the Bang Guy behind the glass, he definitely had a new sign last night.
Oh, wow.
It didn't say bang, it said band. But that's a story for another day. Anyway, this guy's supposed to be a good luck charm, and if you guys watch hockey, obviously, it's Boston. The superstition rides high, and to back the superstition, to have him come back, be on the glass, and then for them to pull off a comeback victory over the Oilers, I think says a lot. So the Dallas Stars closed out game one with a 6-3 victory. We're not going to get too high on that, even though I would love to see the Dallas Stars move forward, but they picked up 3 power play goals in the third period, and the Edmonton Oilers know better than to give a team like that consistent special team opportunities. So we'll see what carries on for game two. But with these comeback victories, it made me think, Boston, major sports market, major sports city, and I feel like they know a lot about making a comeback, right?
It's true. Oh, it's very true. Why did it say banned? The sign.
I think he was in jail. I don't know why.
Oh.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he changed the G to a D.
Yeah, it was just kind of like,
Got
it was one of those things where like he was able to come back because he wasn't in a situation that he was previously in.
Okay, well, yeah, you know.
I was trying to keep his reputation like a little
Okay,
up to
you know
par.
what, that's fine though, because he himself seems to be making a comeback. If he's back, that's great. Good for him. That's really good to hear. Yes, this city is very comfortable with comebacks, very familiar with comebacks. There have been many comebacks. The Patriots, I name a team. The Red Sox, of course.
Every team.
There have been, Kasey, 1,000 documentaries about the Red Sox making comebacks and the Patriots, mind you. So yes, this city is just full of comebacks in its history.
Ooh, so is there one that sits top of the list for you, or do you have like a top 5? Like, I need to be brought on board with everything.
Yes, so there are 2 categories actually, Kasey, that I put comebacks into. 1-game comebacks, and then there are series comebacks, of course. So the 1-game comebacks, the Patriots, of course, 28-3. That would be my favorite one.
Oh, yeah.
Halftime, I will never forget, as you know, any fan will never forget where they were, what they were doing, how they felt, Kasey. Halftime, I remember thinking, that's it. They're done. And, did I underestimate Tom Brady? Yes, because that was unbelievable. And that's why that was my favorite 1-game comeback that there has been. But the Red Sox had a comeback of their own. There's a documentary you can watch on it as well, it's called The Comeback, and movies. But the series, so in 2004, when they came back against the Yankees, that was better to me than winning the World Series that year. As soon as they came back to beat the Yankees in the ALCS, I was like, fine, I'm fine. I mean, I was 12 years old, but I was like, this is fine. I was like, you know what, I remember the World Series being just kind of a blur. Like, they just kind of cruised through it. Like, this is great.
All it was about was getting past the Yankees.
Yes, and the Babe Ruth curse, the curse of the Bambino, Kasey, was a very tough thing to live through. The 12 years, people who were like 80 that were like, I've lived my whole life doing this. And I was like, well, this is awful. No, but the comeback there was definitely more meaningful. But the Patriots comeback is one that I think people can, even in their toughest times, look to as inspiration to get through things, and that anything is possible, because that seemed completely insurmountable. So that comeback, I think, was the best one. My new favorite, though, maybe not in the city, is the guy with the sign.
Is the guy with the sign. I'm telling you, I should have done a better job at positioning that one so everybody could have seen. But I'm sure, anyone who's watching it, there were so many camera cuts to Mr. Bang, now banned. But I will say, there's underestimating Tom Brady, and that makes that a sufficient comeback, of course. And I remember that one. I think it was one of the first coverages that I was like more privy to all things going on in New England and with the Patriots. Then, as you describe it, beating a rival is everything.
Yes. Yep.
That is one of the biggest statements that you can ever make. And then I was doing Hockey Hub with Sophia. I think it was just a week or 2 ago, and it was the anniversary of the Boston Bruins having a massive comeback versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, starting that haunting feeling of unable to complete Game 7s. Sorry, Maple Leafs, I'm not trying to continue to add salt to the wound there. But I loved kind of getting getting everyone's take here at Nesson of what that felt like, because it's just like the clock is winding down. It seems nearly impossible for this to even be a thing. From our position in sports broadcasting, you have to start getting your notes and all the graphics and everything ready to just close out the game, close out the night, and move on. And as that's taking place, the energy of the game just starts shifting. And that's what makes comebacks just such a beautiful thing, is it's that energy shift, it's that lack of oxygen, and then it's just the fact that your team, your city feels so invincible at the end of all of that. And that invincibility we tend to carry with us at every place possible, with every sport and every position. So love a good comeback. I can think of a few when it comes to Tampa Bay, but nobody wants to hear about that. So I'm excited to continue to see what Boston brings when it comes to the comeback category. But you want to know something that Boston doesn't have to worry about, specifically the Patriots. They don't have to worry about what Bill Belichick is getting himself into. And I've said it here a number of times. I did not think that I'd be talking about Bill Belichick's love life as a sports journalist, as a broadcaster, but it is a thing for a number of reasons. The layers of this relationship just continue to unfold. The one that blew my mind the most is the confidence in which Jordon Hudson just carries herself with. So Jordon Hudson has told at least one person that she is engaged to Bill Belichick. That's not where I think she has the confidence, by bringing up the engagement. No. But there is a boat supporting this statement, a boat that I think hangs out in Nantucket, that added a 1+ in front of the amount of rings that dear Billy has won. And then to continue to add to it, apparently there is some fireworks between Bill's ex, Linda Holiday, and new flame, Jordon Hudson. Jordon jumped up in the CBS interview saying, hey, we're not talking about X, Y, and Z. Jordon may have been a hindrance when it comes to Hard Knocks for UNC. And then also, you know, she's got the strength to pitch herself to Nike for Air Jordan. I feel like I've said too much. What do you make of this?
Kasey, okay, first of all, you cannot say too much about this topic. I have been talking to strangers about this, Kasey, at the Red Sox event. So when I just met, I was like, you know what? This story is so crazy. And we just talked about it for like an hour.
It's hard not to.
This is unbelievable. The developments, every new development is, I read every word of it, but I still am not shocked, because I'm ready for anything. I'm ready for anything with this story. So Bill Belichick renaming his boat for Jordon is this is crazy. This is a crazy move.
I feel like he never gave other exes this kind of like.
It was never the Linda.
No.
It was never 8 rings and Linda. Like this is like a little L or whatever. This is wild. So I do wonder. There are two options when he renames the boat. But what does that? What is the one? Is the one her as a person, as Jordon, or is it her Bridgewater State cheerleader championship ring, or is it that they're engaged and that's the ring? Like if they are engaged, does Belichick put his accomplishment of getting engaged to Jordon Hudson on par with his Super Bowl wins?
That's what threw me about the 1+. Like, I understand you trying to be cute and poetic about an engagement, but for one, from what I've heard, because obviously I'm very new to some things, Bill, what I have heard is that he never proposed to his previous ex.
Not that we know of.
That wasn't looking like it was going down an aisle. And then you're with a 24-year-old whose father you are older than and had to awkwardly sit next to you while you were rooting on your gal for her pageantry. My dad would not have it. Let's just put that. It would be
for like a second, my dad would be like, oh, it's Bill Belichick, like to meet Bill Belichick, and then that's it.
And then he'd be like, shut it down.
I don't know about this. Yeah, I don't, as long as they're happy. Bill Belichick did say he's happy, that's fine. He's her old bae.
Oh.
They don't care, Kasey.
Sorry, they really don't. There's no shame here.
And that's through and through. She's a businesswoman, I think. I think she also is probably just really romantic. She's in love with Bill Belichick, because who among us
We're dropping the L word in this mix?
They're in love. Like they are.
Bill's in love. She is a liability.
She's a limber landlord, as the New York Post called her, because she also businesswoman.
Yeah.
She is buying up these homes around this area and renting them out. So she's bought up millions of dollars of homes from, is Belichick funding this? I don't know, but it's interesting to think about. She's also, she's doing a lot of things. She's all things. She's a philosopher. She's an activist. She is a cheerleader. She does pageants. She's activating for Maine fishermen. So she's working on that.
Okay.
And she
wants to be an actress even though she doesn't want to be in the spotlight.
She's the second runner-up in the Miss Maine competition.
Right.
I mean, she's got a lot of accomplishments under her belt, as well as being a businesswoman who is just doing everything. And I think her end game is just to be known, and I think to be remembered and to be in the spotlight. Honestly, not sure if she has an end game. I think she's just living day to day, which is a philosophy that I could get behind.
So you wouldn't see a breakup like anytime
No,
soon?
No. I think they're getting married, and this is the rest of Bill Belichick's life.
Oh my gosh.
With being an old bay.
Being an old bay.
He's an old bay now. And Mr.
Goes
Jordon
from
Hudson.
one of the best football coaches and minds to becoming an old bay. I never thought I would see a leash so short on Bill Belichick, in all honesty.
Does he take her name when they get married?
Oh my God.
No, UNC coach Bill Hudson.
I want the page to turn on the name Hudson so fast.
Mr.
So that's why I'm encouraging this wedding, because I don't want to hear the name Hudson in this context ever again.
Belichick.
But there you go.
She
JB.
thinks she's Michael Jordan. She's trying to take over.
Okay, so isn't that offensive?
It's a little bit.
I would think that that's a little offensive.
As you said, she has a lot of confidence. She has
the confidence of 100 armies back in the BC era. And look, while I would love a tenth of her confidence, I would never insult a Nike as like somebody who's not doing a professional sport on that level or impacting the professional sport community or the sports community. It doesn't have to be professional by any capacity besides bringing headlines and drama to the mix and then be like, hey, Nike, by the way, you should create a whole brand after me. Not to mention is that you can be Jordon with an O-N, but you're trying to put yourself in the same context of conversation as Jordan with an A-N. It's it's very rude, for one. And I've been texting with my friend Ava quite a bit, and with every news that comes out, she's probably one of the first people to drop it in the chat. And I'm just thinking to myself, what is your football background to insist that you're a part of so many crucial football moments and decisions? And Bill's like, oh, I get to focus on football. You might think that, but her having any conversations when it comes to Hard Knocks or production or even speaking to Nike.
Casey, we're not talking about that. We're not.
It stresses me out.
The thing I think a lot of people here have a tough time overcoming is forever. We heard basically nothing about Belichick's personal life.
Very true.
And now we know too much about his personal life. We know everything. We know that he does beach yoga with her and dresses up as a fisherman while she's a mermaid. And it is stuff that is taken a step further we don't want to think about.
What's the fisherman obsession?
They love the sea. They take to the sea in their boat that they renamed. They renamed it. Like, she definitely had it. Here's the other thing.
She probably did it and surprised him.
Did she know, or did she do it and he doesn't know? Like, does he know his boat's been renamed? Does he know what she's putting on Instagram? Is he literally just like, Jordan, do whatever? I am literally just thinking about coaching this football team.
I remember when you tweeted about Bill going on Instagram, but now thinking about it, it's probably her running his account.
Yes.
I mean, she's got the highest momager vibes I've ever seen, and unfortunately,
he doesn't care.
Exactly.
He's totally fine with
I think
this.
we're just scratching the surface with what we're going to hear and see when it comes to this relationship. So buckle up.
Buckle up. I literally was just about to say, buckle your seatbelts, because this is the ride continues. This is not over.
Oh my gosh, I'm terrified for what's coming next. But you know what? What you shouldn't be terrified about is what Boston has entered the chat brings and delivers to you Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. here on NESN, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on NESN Nation. We continue to run through all of the best headlines when it comes to Boston sports. We'll take a bird's eye view on sports as a whole, all the top headlines, news, noise, everything that you can think of here as Boston has entered the chat. We are interactive at #NESN Chat. Check out Unobstructed Views on NESN tonight for all of your Red Sox insight and fun. Alana Rizzo, the queen of the diamond, has you there. And I remind you, every Monday through Friday, Boston has entered the chat, bringing you the goods. Make sure you guys join us back here tomorrow.